Russia's navy was trying to hide something irreplaceable. Nestled away in the Novorossiysk port that has become a new base for the Black Sea Fleet after that fleet's Crimean disaster, it was supposed to be safe. But Ukraine found it, and then Ukraine destroyed it. Ukraine has turned night into day and shattered an entire Russian naval port, leaving nothing in its wake, while delivering a death blow to a Russian fleet that was already practically useless in the war. On the night of March 1st and into 2nd, Ukraine unleashed a hellstorm of drones in the direction of what is now the Black Sea Fleet's main base in Novorossiysk. This was no simple attack. Ukraine combined its aerial and maritime drones to unleash a ridiculous amount of firepower that has shattered the Novorossiysk base and taken another 5 ships out of the fleet, supposed to be one of the keys to Russia winning the war that Putin started. We'll get to those 5 ships in a few moments. But before we do, news of the strike comes from the Dosia Shpiona Telegram channel, which also provides some of the numbers. That channel claims that Russia's air defense units have reported a horde of at least 200 attack drones, though we don't have any claims from Russia's defense ministry that these drones were shot down, or that the damage caused by Ukraine was due to drone debris rather than the drones themselves. That's a rarity for Russia, and it tells us that Ukraine hit so hard that not even a ministry that constantly lies about Ukraine's strikes can hide this one. The great irony of this strike is that Novorossiysk is where Russia believed that its Black Sea Fleet warships would be safe. As far back as October 2023, ABC News was reporting that Russia had started to move its warships to this base, as Ukraine's missiles and maritime drones were absolutely shattering the fleet at its previous base in Sevastopol. This was a tactical withdrawal by Russia, the transfer of its most valuable warships to what was supposed to be a protected port that was outside of Ukraine's range, and even if Ukraine struck, contained enough defenses to make the damage negligible. Russia continued this withdrawal into 2024, but Andriy Yusov, who is a representative of Ukraine's main Directorate of Intelligence, made it clear that Russia's warships wouldn't be able to hide away for long. After the destruction of missile boats, amphibious assault ships, and a corvette, we don't see them at sea. They're trying to change their tactics, to look for new defense tools, but the Ukrainian security and defense forces will not wait. They will continue to act, Yusov said in March 2024. 2 years later, Ukraine is indeed acting. Ukraine has been setting up for a strike like this for a long time, and we'll explain how later in the video, when we go into detail about what this strike means for Russia's ailing Black Sea Fleet. Plus, Ukraine hit a lot more than ships with this latest attack, so stick with us to the end to find out more. But before all of that, we have the headline strikes. 5 Russian warships have been hit, and all 5 are supposed to be playing key roles in Russia's attempts to occupy Ukraine. Let's do a roll call of Russia's warship losses. First on the list is the Valentin Pikul, which United 24 Media says is a Project 266M minesweeper that has sustained significant structural damage during Ukraine's nighttime drone raid. The use of the word minesweeper might trick you into thinking that this is a ship that didn't present much of an attack threat to Ukraine. That isn't the case. While the ship's primary purpose is indeed to sweep for mines, which makes the transit of open waters safer for Russia's other warships, the Valentin Pikul is something of an attacking powerhouse in its own right. Deigel explains more in a profile of the ship, which says that it can also serve as an anti-submarine warfare vessel. Immediately, that shows how this warship could be problematic for Ukraine. Though it isn't deploying full submarines, Ukraine has a stockpile of undersea drones, such as the Sea Babe, that it's used to attack Novorossiysk in the past. The Valentin Pikul could have helped Russia to stave off some of these underwater attacks. Could have, but won't anymore. The ship is also a threat to Ukraine's aerial drones, missiles and fighter jets. It's loaded with 20 Igla short-range surface-to-air missiles, along with a pair of 30mm AK-306 cannons. Throw a bevy of electronic warfare equipment into the mix, and you get a ship that can protect itself, damage some of Ukraine's vast aerial and naval assets, and is capable of sailing for 3,000 nautical miles, giving it a 15-day endurance. Now it's out of commission. And based on United 24 Media's report, it won't be coming back anytime soon. Next up on the list is a pair of Project 1124M Albatross warships, Yaisk and Kasimov. Both are small anti-submarine ships that Ukraine managed to hit while they were moored in Novorossiysk, and, like the Valentin Pikul, they could be problematic for Ukraine's strategy of using undersea drones to cripple more of the Black Sea Fleet and to attack key pieces of Russian infrastructure to support Russia's war effort in the Crimea region, such as the Kerch Bridge. Naval Technology offers a little more information. It says that Project 1124M ships are closer to multi-role vessels than they are to specialized anti-submarine ships. Beyond being capable of tackling underwater threats, the ships can be used for maritime patrols, conducting reconnaissance, protecting convoys, communications, and laying underwater mines. Each ship is manned by 80 crew members. It's unlikely that any were on board at the time of Ukraine's strike, as backed by casualty figures that we're going to share later. But even if Ukraine hasn't killed 160 Russian sailors in this attack, it has taken away their ships. Sailors aren't exactly useful and they can't spend their time on the water, so Russia now gets to spend money paying active members of its military who can do little more than sit around and twiddle their thumbs. The Project 1124M does pack a little bit of firepower to go along with its submarine-focused weapons. Beyond the pair of DTA-53 twin torpedo launchers built into the warship, it has an OSA MA-2 surface-to-air missile system that it can use to engage helicopters and aircraft. Russia can also mount a pair of artillery weapons on the vessel, such as a 76.2mm AK-176M heavy machine gun or a pair of 57mm A220 guns. In other words, this anti-submarine vessel is surprisingly versatile, and Ukraine doesn't want to see Russia take advantage of that versatility in the Black Sea. Now, Russia can't. 2 of its Project 1124M have been taken out. At the time of United 24 Media's report, satellite imagery had confirmed that 5 warships had been hit, but only 3 were known about. We now have more information on the 2 other ships. That information comes courtesy of Euromaidan Press, which reveals that ship number 4 on Ukraine's list of targets on March 1st and into 2nd was the Admiral Essen. One of Russia's frigates, the Admiral Essen, was struck almost dead center by one of Ukraine's drones, causing a detonation of the ship's PK-10 passive countermeasure launchers, which are supposed to deploy thermal decoys and chaff to hide the warship away from enemies. I guess that didn't work out, did it, Putin? In a March 5th update, the Kyiv Post confirmed that the Admiral Essen had been hit. It added that Ukraine struck the ship so hard that it's no longer able to fire its Caliber cruise missiles. That's huge for Ukraine because Russia has been using Novorossiysk's relatively close proximity to Ukraine to strengthen its constant missile and drone barrages. Caliber cruise missiles have played a huge role in these attacks. We saw that on February 7th when the New Voice of Ukraine reported on a massive Russian strike targeting Ukraine's power grid. Russia used 24 missiles in that attack, and some of them were Caliber missiles. Were those missiles launched from the Admiral Essen? We may never know, but Ukraine has just made it so that Russia definitely won't be able to use its frigate to fire more Caliber missiles anytime in the near future. The Kyiv Post adds that Ukraine's drone strike also destroyed the Admiral Essen's grenade launchers in addition to damaging the TK-25 electronic warfare, or EW system, that creates interference and is capable of detecting radar radiation. That's more big news for Ukraine. Another EW system down means that Russia has fewer defenses at its Novorossiysk base, which opens up even more opportunities for Ukraine to strike in the future. Ukraine even took out part of the frigate's anti-aircraft missile guidance system, which means it can't even be useful to Russia now that it's been rendered a sitting duck by Ukraine. And that brings us to the final ship of the 5. But before we get to that, there's a lot more where this came from. If you're getting value from the military show, don't forget to subscribe so you always stay ahead of the curve. Finally, we have the Molnaya missile boat, which Euromaidan Press says is a Project 1241 warship. Ukraine's drones scored direct hits on the stern section of that vessel, which it says houses the Molnaya's engine room, main engines, diesel generators, and a